understanding, and you make this program successful. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Thank you, Miss Priscilla, for making us feel the presence of God Almighty. Henry Ford once said, anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. Now, I would like to call upon the General Secretary, Miss Juliana Matembua Danso, the General Secretary, to welcome.
Hello. Yeah, thank you, Madam MC. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, those of us in Ghana, and good morning to you, Miss Helen.
Good morning.
Please, my name is Juliana Mantuvia Danso. It is my utmost pleasure to welcome you all to today's program. The program promises to be very interesting, very informative, and very enlightening as well. We pray that you have the opportunity to ask all the questions that you have and be able to also tap from all the things that our facilitator will speak to us today. Once again, welcome you all. Thank you so much for making time out of your busy schedule to join us today.
Thank you so much.
Have a pleasurable evening. Thank you.
And now I would like to call on the NUGS-CHINA Chengdu chapter president to address the purpose of the seminar.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I am assuming that was my introduction. I'm having a little trouble hearing you. Am I loud and clear? Can you hear me?
Hello, Helen.
Yes, Michael. Yes.
That
Hello.
That wasn't you, please.
I'm sorry?
That wasn't your introduction, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just having a little trouble hearing you, but that's okay. As long as you can hear me, then we can get going with our presentation. It's really a pleasure, to be honest with you, for me to be with you all today. We're so far away from each other globally, but technology is an amazing thing. Connected us, and we're able to have this this presentation today. So I'm very happy to be able to speak with you. I'm very happy that there's a large number of you out there that can learn and can share some of my information with you. Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Helena Michaelides is my name. I am a certified licensed immigration counselor. I am the CEO and director of HM Group Canadian Immigration Services. We also have a sister company called UCAN Educational Services, where we cater to international students that would like to make Canada their study destination for higher studies, and then look to the future down the road to perhaps make Canada their permanent home through our immigration company, HM Group. So I guess the focus of today's meeting is for me to share with you all the services that we have, how we as a company can help all of you. I understand that you're all university students, of you anyway, that are looking for a brighter future, perhaps in the world. Canada is one of the most popular destinations and has an extremely high standard of living, as I'm sure you have all heard. So it's offering a lot of opportunities, especially to students who are on the verge of graduating and looking for another country to further their higher studies. So we do offer immigration services through HM Group. We offer the education path through UCAN Education. And the two come together to be able to offer you both pathways and both opportunities. So for the individuals out there that are interested to come to Canada for higher studies, perhaps to do a master's degree or a PhD, if you're presently working on your undergraduate degree, let me tell you, this is the perfect country to do that in, mainly because it offers a fantastic package that gives you immense opportunities. And what I mean by that is not only can you study here, but you can work and study at the same time. So you're always generating some sort of income for yourself to sustain your living expenses. And you're also attending and working on completing your degree. So that combination has been working very well for our international students. We have helped over the 23 years that we have been in existence. We actually were established in 1999. So we have, over the 23 years, have helped hundreds and hundreds of students not only get a higher degree in Canada, but also settle in Canada and start a family in Canada, and are now permanent residents and Canadian citizens. So this country has a lot to offer. It is a very peaceful country. We have a very high standard of living, and it offers amazing opportunities. So for any of you that are still in the stage of what should I do with my future kind of question in your mind, or where I go with this degree that I'm completing now, I think this might be the answer for all of you. The opportunities for work after you complete your program of study are amazing. We have all kinds of fields of work in the sector, in the public sector, in the government sector, you name it. Whatever your particular focus is on, there will be an opportunity for you. The good thing is that employers here and the government here prefer individuals that graduate with a Canadian degree. The reason being that you have already kind of immersed into the lifestyle of Canada. You have opened your mind to the education system here. You've gone out into the workforce and you've done your work and study issues here. Am I still on? Hello?
Hello, Helen, you're still on.
All right,
Yes,
yeah.
still on.
So the thing is that the country here offers amazing opportunities, okay? That's why we have decided to combine our immigration company with our education company. We work together with the two companies to cater to whatever the needs of our candidates are, of course. So for any of you out there listening to me right now, if you have already kind of completed your studies, you don't want to pursue any more studying overseas or in your home country or wherever you happen to be right now, and you want to immigrate to Canada, well, there's a path for you as well, okay? Through our HM Group Canadian Immigration Services, we offer all kinds of paths depending on your personal situation, okay? We will not, for example, accept a file if it does not qualify for any of the immigration programs that we have. So we have permanent immigration pathways and we have temporary immigration pathways. And for whatever your desire is, you must qualify in order for us to be able to move forward with your application. So now, if we just want to, let's just stick to the immigration process just for a few minutes now. If any one of you, for example, was to approach us and say, I want to immigrate to Canada, and believe me, we have many interested people that do that on a daily basis. I want to make Canada my home, for example. Then we would assess your profile. There's a certain assessment form that has to be completed. You would be assessed. We would take every part of your profile, starting from your age, your marital status, your education level, if you have family here, you name it. We'll dissect everything and we'll come up with a final eligibility, yes or no. It will be either you're eligible for permanent residency or you're not eligible. And if you are eligible, then how strong is your profile? Can you make it? Can you be eventually successful in becoming a permanent resident here? So that would be the first step that we would take if you were to decide to apply for a permanent residency. If you are not eligible, then we would recommend other options, all right? Other options more reachable for you or easier for you to succeed in with your particular profile. So whatever decision you make, eventually you'll know that it is the correct decision because you will be guided by one of our immigration counselors to take the right path, okay? So that's just the basic information about how we would approach someone that is interested in immigrating to Canada. You can never go wrong because you'll always know what you qualify for. Now, dealing with governments is not an easy thing. I'm sure you all are aware of that. So whatever path is eventually decided on for any of you for immigration, the final decision, of course, is always up to the visa officer that's sitting in that embassy to make the final decision when they review your application. Now, our job as a company is to make sure that we prepare the best possible and strongest possible application on your behalf, that we don't leave any loopholes, that we cover every single aspect of your application so that we don't leave even the slightest chance of refusal. Okay, so that's basically what our function is here as immigration counselors. We don't make the final decisions, but we certainly prepare very good files so that the final decision is positive. We have up to date a 92% success rate in all of the types of applications that we have processed so far over our 23 years of being in existence. All right, so that's just the very basic information in regards to how we would approach a person that's interested in immigrating to Canada. If for any reason there are several options available to you, for example, you've got the PR option, and then you've got the option of studying as well. And then there's also the option that you may want to visit to see how things are, first of all. Then we would always recommend some sort of a virtual consultation where we would sit down and we would talk to you about what we have found on your profile, what your options are. Is it PR? Is it studies? Is it to visit? Is it a business visa, for example? Well, whatever the case may be, or is it a provincial nominee program, which is another pathway that leads to permanent residency? We have the permanent residency option that's offered under the federal government of Canada, that where you can settle in any province across the country. And then we have individual provinces in Canada that offer their own particular permanent residency pathway. So all this would be discussed with each one of you in that consultation. And we found that that works very well for us. It works very well for our client, because we not only get to know each other face to face, even though it's virtually, but still it is a face-to-face meeting. We get to know our client gets acquainted with who we are and what we can do for them. And then you can make an informative decision, because you're playing with your future, you're playing with your money, because you have to pay for the process. So you're making an informative decision based on a solid, truthful, and accurate information that's relying on your particular profile. So that's how we approach our candidates, and that's how they approach us. So there is always a relationship that develops. If the relationship ends shortly thereafter because the person is not qualified, at least the person walks away with a lot of good information so that they can eventually make themselves qualified for one of the packages. Basically, that's another reason that we do this consultation, right? This is for immigration purposes. Through our through our education company, which is, I always recommend the study permit, especially for young people like yourselves that are getting a really good education that could use a master's degree or even a PhD further down the road. That's probably one of the strongest and most appealing packages for individuals like yourselves that are university students. So the study permit pathway leads to permanent residency. So you are actually doing a lot with that study permit. You are studying for a higher degree. You're working at the same time. You graduate and you get a 3-year postgraduate work permit to work full-time in Canada and then of course you're gaining Canadian work experience and making a lot of money. And then at the end, you can apply for permanent residency as well. So in my view, if you want my personal and very experienced opinion, the study permit path for individuals like yourselves that are attending a university of high caliber university, I've already looked at the university, by the way. I think the study permit path at this particular time may be the best option. For any of you that have really good work experience in your past, then the PR option is also a very good option, perhaps through one of the provinces. Okay, so having said all of that, I'm sure that a lot of you right now have a lot of questions going through your mind. It would be nice for me to be able to answer a lot of these questions, perhaps. I would love to be able to fulfill some of the dilemmas, excuse me, any dilemmas that you may have, any questions that are creating perhaps some hesitation, some fears, perhaps. You know, I have a lot of students that I have seen over the years. I've done many presentations internationally. I've done a lot of seminars as well. A lot of students have a lot of fear. They have a fear of changing their life. A fear of coming to a new place, a new world, you know. And this is the Western part of the world, and it's a little bit different. The mentality here is different. The cultural beliefs are different. The lifestyle is different. We're a very free country here. We're very peaceful here. It might be a shock. It's a cultural shock when you see that you're in a place where, wow, I can be who I want to be, and I can do and reach the sky if I want. And it's a different type of environment than some of the other countries that I have visited during my seminars and all my presentations. So it's actually a very refreshing, it will be a very refreshing change for all of you. And all the opportunities that are going to be offered to you will be fantastic. So, but the fear and the dilemmas will always be there. Any change in life is scary for all of us. So it's always good to know where you're going. You know, gather as much knowledge as you can about the path that you have eventually decided to take, if any path at all. And if you decide that you want to do path A or path B or path C, then I recommend highly that you are well aware and very informed of what you're doing. Okay. So those are our two companies, and those are the services that we offer. Our education company also assists students in finding proper accommodation. So if you have done the process and you have been approved the visa and you're looking for our support or assist in helping you find accommodation as well. So that's another service that we provide. We provide local services to our students who are already here that want an extension of their study permit, or they want to apply for their postgraduate work permit once they've done their degree, or they want to do their permanent residency. We offer all of those services to our local students once they come into the country. So we're always there to help you from the beginning of your journey until the end, until you make a life here, if that is the path you're eventually going to take. Okay. So On that note, I'm very open to any questions that any of you may have for me.
Okay,
Anything
Helen, thank you. Thank you very much, Helen.
is not very clear to you, perhaps that I can clarify or perhaps add to what I have already shared with you?
Okay, Helen, thank you very much. This has been quite a detailed sort of presentation, even though you had a limited time. The first issue was that the people were asking if you had any sort of a PowerPoint presentation, as we discussed, that you could display. That is, you share your.
I do have several PowerPoint presentations. I wasn't sure today if that would have been a suitable thing to get into right away. I wanted to first introduce myself. I wanted to see the interest from your end. And then let you know basically what we do. And we can either do a PowerPoint presentation in another meeting, either UCAN education, if that is of interest. What do you prefer?
Okay, so we shall think about that and inform you. So let's just move on to other technical questions. What does an applicant need to apply for a PR, and what is a PR itself, as you talk about?
If it's possible to speak a little louder.
Yes.
I don't hear you very well, Michael. Just a bit louder.
Okay, Helena, can you please explain to us what does an applicant need to apply for a PR? And what is the PR itself? What is the meaning of PR?
Yeah, so PR stands for permanent resident. Okay, that's somebody that wants to come here to become a permanent resident of this country. So under the permanent residency process, there are two different pathways. One is under the express entry process, which is the federal government process. It's a processing management system, actually. It's called express entry. For any one of you that have skilled work experience in your past, you have accumulated at least 1 year of skilled work experience, then you can try to apply to immigrate to Canada through under the express entry process to become a permanent resident. So the express entry process offers 3 categories, okay? One is the skilled worker category, which a lot of you may fall under if you have accumulated at least 1 year of full-time skilled work experience. The second category is the skilled trades category. For any of you that have a skill in a trades occupation, such as plumbing, electrician, welder, what else can I name under the skilled workers category? Anything in a skilled trade, okay? That's another category that falls under the express entry to become a permanent resident process. And then the third category under express entry is the Canadian experience class for any individuals that have already come to Canada, have worked, have graduated or are working here. They have accumulated 1 year of Canadian experience, then they can automatically go ahead and apply for permanent residence. Okay? So that's permanent residency process under the express entry process, falling under those 3 categories, any one of those 3 categories. And then we have the provinces. We have several provinces across Canada that offer their own individual pathway for you to become a permanent resident. What does that mean? That means they administer requirements, eligibility requirements for any one of you that would like to apply to an individual province to become a permanent resident for that province. For example, the province of Ontario, the province of Quebec, the province of Nova Scotia, the province of Alberta. We have several provinces across the country that will give you the opportunity to settle in that particular province. And this usually happens, I'll tell you when. If you're not eligible, or your score is not high enough, or your profile is not strong enough to apply under the express entry process, which covers all of Canada, you can live anywhere in Canada, then you can look at the individual province, which is a little bit more flexible. it's a little bit easier to reach that particular requirement than it is to reach the requirement of the express entry under the express entry process.
Okay. The first part of the question was, what do I need? What do I need? What documents do I
Now
need?
that's a very big question, actually, Michael, because you need a lot of things. First of all, you need to qualify. Once you qualify, and you qualify for either express entry or the provincial nominee, then you have to put in your profile into these pools, right? One is the express entry profile, has to go into a pool, all right, where you're going to enter into that pool because you qualify, and you're going to put in your profile, and you're going to wait until you receive an invitation. Now, bear in mind that there's going to be many other applicants also in that express entry pool, also waiting to receive an invitation to move to the second stage of the process to apply for permanent residence. So basically, there's two stages to this process. So let's focus a little bit on express entry. Express entry, as I told you already, is under the federal government for you to settle anywhere in Canada. So your profile has to go into the express entry pool. And once you receive your invitation, then you go to the second stage of your process where you actually have to submit the documentation to support the information that you entered onto your express entry profile when you went into the pool. Okay. There are many, many documents that have to be uploaded and supported and submitted, right? That's why right now I would not be able to go through all the documentation because everybody is different as well. So what, for example, Paul has, maybe Kevin does not need, you understand? So every profile is a little bit different than the other. So depending on the profile and what you have said on the express entry profile when you went into the pool, then you have to give the documentation to the government to support that information, okay? The same thing happens with the provinces. The individual provinces have their own requirements. You have to put in your expression of interest into that particular province barrel, let's say, or pool. And then you have to wait until you receive that invitation and then submit the supporting documents to justify what you said on your expression of interest when you went into that pool. Okay. So basically it's qualifying, being qualified, get into the pool, then it's a waiting game to receive the invitation. Then you go to the second stage to submit your documentation to actually get your permanent residence. Okay. I hope I've answered the majority of your question there, Michael.
Yes, you have, Helen. Thank you so much. And let's move on. I think a few students have posted questions here. The others can raise their hands and they will be invited to ask. But until then, let me help others who have typed their question here. The first part is there any chance for a scholarship or masters in pharmacy?
Yeah, we have a lot of students who are interested in scholarships. Scholarships do exist, but they're not easy to obtain. Okay, I want to be very realistic about that. You may receive a partial scholarship when an application is submitted. You may receive like a $2,000 scholarship because of some special promotion the university is having, or $1,000 scholarships or some small amount of money like that. But getting a scholarship or a significant scholarship, that's a very competitive area to get into because they're looking for really, really high academic levels, either very high academic level or very much a person who is in need of financial support. In other words, a person financially very weak, very poor, and has a very legitimate reason for asking for the money. And even then, it takes a long time. We don't get involved in scholarships because number one, it's too lengthy of a process. It's too risky. We don't want to disappoint students who are waiting for a long time and at the end it's a no. So because we know the reality is there aren't that many scholarships, there's not that much money in this area. So if you're serious about coming here for higher studies, it's best to look to get your financial stuff ready before launching into it. That's my recommendation.
Okay, thank you. The next one I have on the screen is somebody is asking of how much they need to pay to begin the profiling. I think the person means how much is needed to be paid to do an eligibility assessment. If you understand my question.
Is this for immigration or is it for a study process? Which one are we talking about? PR, residency, or temporary?
Or a PR, I'm sure, a PR.
Yeah, for permanent residents, for our process, you mean our fees? Is that what you're asking?
The person is asking, you mentioned that they will need to access their documents, their profiles, so that your profile.
Yeah, the assessment for your profile is, there is no fee for that. It's right on our website. It's right on the HM Group website. There is an assessment form on there. It doesn't take long to complete. It's right on the homepage of our website. You just click in. It's a free assessment. We receive it right away and we respond to you fairly quickly, usually with, excuse me, within 24 hours. You'll receive a response, either yes, you are, eligible for under the skilled worker category, or you're not eligible, or we recommend this instead of this. Okay, you'll receive a response. The assessment is free.
Okay, so we're going to put the HM Group website on the page for students to access it. Let's move on to the next question.
Yes, that's one thing. I also recommend, Michael, that you put the application for UCAN education as well, because if any people want to do masters, it's a really an excuse me again, it's really an amazing package. Really, the study permit package is you may need to have some money in the initially for your tuition fees, but in the long term, that's the best package for young people who are still studying. That is the best package because you are fully qualified for that. You'll be able to work and study. So I think we should put that link on as well.
All right. Let's move on to the next question. We have a lot of questions here.
Yes, okay.
One student is also asking that he had already gained an admission into a PhD program in Canada. However, he's finding it difficult to show a proof of funds, indicating that he can fend for himself in Canada when he enters for his studies.
Yeah,
it's becoming very difficult for my friend here, and so he or she is asking whether you have any advice on how they should go about it.
Yeah, so if the financial, okay, so I'll tell you, I'm going to be very straight here. One of the reasons that some files are refused at the embassy is due to the lack of finances, okay? So if the financial is weak, there's a very good chance that the file will be refused. So what a visa officer wants to see is, number one, that the money is there for the tuition fees and the living expenses for the first year. Living expenses for the first year in Canada is about $10,000, and then plus whatever the tuition fee is for that first 1 year. This is what the visa officer wants to see, to be satisfied that you are going to succeed in your program because you won't have any financial difficulties. The second thing that they want to see is that your academic path that you have chosen makes sense. In other words, you're not studying to be an engineer, and then all of a sudden you've decided you've completed your engineering program and you want to come to Canada and be a in the healthcare field. There's a vast difference between the two. That might be another reason why a file could be refused, because of the inconsistency in the actual career path. Okay. The third reason could be that academically you're not very strong, and then there's a weakness in the academic level, and there's a good chance you might not succeed in the program here. So that might be another reason for the refusal. And then the one reason that is really very used quite often sometimes, too often sometimes, but it's that they don't believe that you might go back to your home country after you complete your program of study, which is kind of a conflict of interest, because they know that they're offering all these opportunities to international students, but that could be another reason. So it's our job to do the file the way it's supposed to be done, to kind of alleviate these suspicions on the visa officer's part. So those are the reasons that they use for refusal. So the financial is one of them. So I always recommend try to get your financing in place so that you can prove that the first year of tuition fees and living expenses is taken care of.
Okay, Helen. The next one is which one? Okay. Is there any limitation? Is there any limitation on the age and education for qualification?
No, there is no limitation. We don't discriminate against anyone's age. You can be as old as you want, but you have to also be realistic, because after a certain age, then they won't believe that you're a student anymore. You know, if you've been out of school for 10 years or 15 or 20 years, why are you returning? Why do you want to go back to school now? Why haven't you done that already? So that question is enter the mind of the visa officer. Remember, it's all about that visa officer that's going to review the file and give us the visa. So I always recommend try to keep it realistic. We usually have, if it's for study purposes, usually our students are between the ages of 17, where they're just starting their post-secondary studies, until the age of about 30, 32, where they could still be masters, doing their masters at that level. So that's usually that's the age group that usually gets the study permit. Yeah.
Okay. The next one is how long does the PR process take?
Yeah, so the PR process is a time-consuming process. It could take up to 1 year between the time that we submit your profile into the pool and the time that you receive an invitation. If the year passes, it means that other individuals in the pool were stronger than you and they received an invitation before you did. So then the profile is renewed and it still stays in the pool until you eventually receive an invitation. The reason I say that is because the scores fluctuate, they go up and down. For example, in the express entry pool, maybe the higher scores are in the 470, 475, 480. And these are normal scores that we see, just to give you an idea of a good score. But then something may happen and the average score might drop down to 420, all right, where you will be able to compete. So scores fluctuate, higher scores, and then you got your lower scores, and then you got your average scores, and then you might fit in there somewhere where you will receive your invitation. So that's how the process works. So we always say, okay, you haven't received an invitation so far. You may in the next group or the next round receive your invitation. It's all about having a good, strong score to begin with so that you are somewhere in the middle where you'll eventually receive that invitation. So maximum 1 year, and then you have the option of renewing it and staying in the pool until you finally invite it.
Okay, Helen. Thank you. Let's move on to the next question. Please, let's make it as short as possible. I know you have a lot of knowledge about your work, and so you don't want to give us everything, but our time is also hitting again.
Well, we wanted to make this an informative. I wanted to make this an informative session. If there's going to be any other sessions, then we would be going to a PowerPoint type of structure. Okay.
So we can decide about that later. But let's use the time we have now. Somebody is asking about English proficiency. I think the IELTS.
Yes.
What is the status of Ghanaian students who have schooled from kindergarten to the university?
Okay, well, I have some really good news. For English-speaking African countries, you do not require IELTS. Okay? English-speaking African countries, like, for example, Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Uganda, English-speaking, the English African countries, we have a whole list of them. I don't have them here in front of me, but most of them, you don't require IELTS. Cameroon, though, will require, because it's not an English-speaking country, it's mostly French. So that's one that will require, but most of the African countries don't. If you're from Africa, if you're from any other country, yes, 95% of them will require the IELTS. If you're from China, of course, India, Bangladesh, any of the other foreign countries, unless it's a first language that is English, you will require the IELTS, but the English Africa does not.
I hope this is talking about the PR process or just for the student package.
Oh, okay. So I just saw a question about Portuguese. The African country, such as Cameroon, requires IELTS for study purposes. The English-speaking African countries do not. We can look at that later, but most of the English-speaking African countries for study purposes do not. Now, if you're coming here for PR, permanent residence, everybody requires IELTS. The IELTS general exam for permanent residence is required by everyone. Even if you were born and raised in the UK, for example, you need to write the IELTS. It's a mandatory requirement for permanent residence.
So just to make it clear, if you are applying for a permanent residence, you need an IELTS certificate.
Yes, you need the IELTS general exam. You also require one more thing. This is very important for all of you to know, because we have so many applicants from overseas that send the assessment in and they're lacking. They don't have these two things. And without these two things, we can't move forward. You have to have the IELTS general exam. You have to score as high as you can, because that will either make or break your profile sometimes. And you must have your foreign academic credentials evaluated, all right, to prove that it's equivalent to the Canadian equivalent degree. So if you have a 4-year degree from your home country, you have to have it evaluated to prove that it is equivalent to our 4-year undergraduate degree. So there are several different organizations that do this. It's one of the ones that we use is called WES, that stands for Worldwide Education Services. They do evaluations of foreign credentials. So IELTS, general, WES evaluation, mandatory for PR. Okay.
Okay, so that is mandatory. That's great. Okay.
Mandatory, yeah.
Please, do you have postdoc fellowship programs?
Sorry, ask me that again, please.
Postdoctorate fellowship programs.
Fellowship programs. We have done something in the past. It's not one of our regular services. We're not experts in the fellowship field, so we're always honest with what we can and cannot do. However, having said that, Michael, if there is enough interest out there, then there's maybe something that we could start offering. Okay. Are you talking about internship? Hello?
Could you come again? Yes, could you come again?
Are you referring to internships? Like
I am referring, I think a student is asking if I think if he graduates from the doctorate over here and wants to do a postdoctoral research.
Yeah, we don't get too involved in that because we don't have a lot of demand. Number one is that. Number two, it's a very long process. If we started having more demand, then possibly we could start offering that service. But at the present time, we're not doing too much of that.
Okay. Please, Harry, if you can hear me. Harry, if you can hear me, could you please raise your hand so we give you the chance to ask your question? You talked about certain software, but I am not so sure I'm conversant to that. So please, Harry, raise your hands. Let's ask you what do you want to ask Helen. But before you do that, someone is asking that he's doing a PhD in China and would want to transfer to Canada. How can you help?
It depends how far along he is with the PhD in China. And of course, that would have to be looked at by the university here to see if there's a possibility. Every university has their own individual policies about transferred students, So if the curriculum is very similar between the two universities, then there is a possibility, but that has to be done by the university. We could be intermediaries to introduce the person to a good university, but the final decision, of course, the university has to look at the curriculum of the attending university as opposed to the curriculum of the university in Canada and make their decision at that point. But I've seen it happen in the past. It is something that does happen. Yeah. Good look at that.
Okay, Henry, please ask your question.
Go ahead, Henry.
Hello, Henry. Please go ahead with the question.
For someone with some years of experience as biomedical scientist in Ghana, an MSc, I didn't read the whole question. Can you bring that up?
Yeah,
Can you
please.
use IELTS to replace generalized and express entry process? No, the answer is no to that. It's got to be the general IELTS for express entry.
Yeah, I can see for someone with some years of experience in biomedical science in Ghana and an MSc from the UK, and currently in the final year of PhD program in the health sciences in China. What options are available? What is your advice for such a person?
Who's doing a PhD already in China? Is that what the question is?
Yes, 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 he is.
Yeah, if you're already at that stage of your academic career, my expert opinion is to complete what path you're on there, because we've got some really, really good permanent residency options for PhD graduates here. PhD under the immigration umbrella of Canada has a category of their own, okay? So I would recommend completing your PhD wherever you're doing it, and coming out of that university as a PhD student, you're a doctor, there is a special program under the immigration of Canada for you, okay?
Okay.
So perhaps the academic path should end there, and you start looking at the immigration path after that. Yeah.
Hello, Harry.
Yes, Henry. Is it Henry? Yeah, you've got your hand up. I'm listening.
Harry. Okay, sorry. While we wait for Henry, is there any opportunity for internship without age limits?
Any
Internship
opportunity for internship?
without age limits.
I didn't hear the last part. Without
age limits.
Oh yeah, internships. Yeah, that's a bit of a different scenario. There is no age limit to that, because you've already kind of done all your studies and it's a different scenario. No, there is no age limit there. Okay. Again, keep it reasonable though. You know what I mean? There's always some sort of boundary to everything, right? But there is no age limit. No.
Okay. Hello, Ramos. Disney Ramos.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Helena, thank
Hello,
you.
Ramos.
Yeah, thank you. For people who finish graduate PhD in English program in China, should they also do, if they want to apply for PR in Canada, they should also do the test, English test?
Yes, Ramos. Unfortunately, everyone has to do that. It's a mandatory requirement because it measures 4 areas of the English language. You see, they do it because they want you to be successful here. We are an English-speaking country, so they want to make sure that your grammar is up to the level it should be, your listening skills, your speaking skills, your writing skills. That's really essential. It's mandatory for everyone, regardless of your level of education.
Okay, good. So what's the grade required?
Yeah, that minimum is 6 in each category, but I never recommend 6 because that will give you a low number of points. And in some cases, what we're finding with our assessments for people who want to immigrate here, they have strong profiles, everything looks great, and then their IELTS is too low, and then that breaks it for them. So sometimes the English part of your profile will either make or break your profile. So you have to really study well, get as high as you can. The highest is 9 in each category. I always recommend nothing less than 7, nothing less than 7.5 if you can do it.
Okay, good. So please, Helen, put your email contact, and your company website in the chat so we can discuss further information. Okay, we have a lot of questions, but
I can
later.
definitely do that. I can definitely do that. I wasn't sure of the poster, but I will put both of the websites of the companies down so that you can contact us.
And your email as well.
Okay, let's have Henry if he's still ready. Henry, hello, Henry.
1 second, please. Let me just finish off this as well. And you can just contact me on this email.
They are there. youcanstudy.com and then hmimmigration.com. Okay, Chris.
One of our email addresses. I'm going to actually, it's good to you have the links of the assessment form and the link to the application of UCAN as well, Michael.
Yes.
Shall we do that here, you think, or?
Yeah, you could show them here.
Michael will be my point of contact because I do need his support. I do need help. So here's the other email.
Yeah, you can share it to my WhatsApp as well. Okay. All right. Next question, Chris.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, and it's an honor for me to be in this meeting tonight. And well, it's not night in other parts of the world. I'd like to know what does someone who has been working in China as a teacher need as supporting documents to get with them if they have to leave China? Like, you've been working here and you'd probably be leaving and you might not have the opportunity to come back here and get those documents. What would you need to accompany you in the PR process?
Okay, so even though I had a difficult time hearing you, but if I heard you correctly, you are now in China and you're working as a teacher, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
You have legal status in China. What is your status in China right now?
No, I have legal studies back in my home country, a master's level, and I'm fluent in English and French. So I've been working in China for over 2 years as a teacher, legally working here.
So you need to complete our assessment form on our website, on the HM Group website. You need to complete the assessment and then just put in your credentials, your education, everything about you, and the work experience of 2 years in China as a teacher. That is an NOC code B level position, which means it's a skilled occupation. It sounds like you may be qualified, but how strong the profile is, I don't know until we see it.
But the problem is I might be leaving shortly. So I'd like to know what supporting documents I would need to get from China before I travel to wherever it is.
Yeah, so obviously you've been working in China, so you have to prove that you had legal status there, either on a work permit, okay, whatever your status was in China, you have to have documented proof of that you were legally able to work there. Secondly, we need some sort of a reference letter from your employer to prove that you were employed as a teacher, okay? So anything to justify what you've been doing in China, legal status, employer letter, any pay slips that you have from your employer, any proof of.
Well, I didn't get pay slips
China, all of these
in
things.
China, excuse me, I didn't get pay slips because in China it's kind of you're paid on the like you get cash payments sometimes, or it's wired to your account, so you really don't have supporting documents. But then I got a work permit. I got the letters. I don't know what format of a letter would do for the procedure.
It has to be, first of all, you want to prove that you have this experience, right? You want to prove you were working as a teacher, right? You have to.
That's right.
You have to have some documented proof of that.
That's right. I mean, apart from
because you need to prove to the government of Canada that you really do have this work experience as a teacher. So it's up to you, and this is very important because it's the obligation of every individual to provide the appropriate documentation, right? So in your case, you need to provide a letter, an employment letter. You need to provide proof that you were being paid, the duties and the job title of what you were performing there. All of these things you have to have documented proof for that.
Okay, Chris, please. I think any further question from you should go to her personal email so that it will be at a personal level.
Yeah, I have a. You're all welcome to contact me personally to my email. Okay, all of you are welcome to do that.
Exactly. So please, if I would allow any follow-up question, then it's not going to be more than 2. So you ask your question, and if something is not clear, I can give you the chance for a follow-up. But please don't take it too personal, so that others can have the chance to ask their questions. Thank you very much, Grace, and all others who want to ask their questions. I saw that this gentleman, Ramos, is also asking again that does spouses IELTS have influence on the general score of the PR application? Let me explain. Probably I would want to apply, or I'm an applicant for a PR program, and I would want to travel with my wife. Does my wife's IELTS have influence on my chances of getting the PR?
Yes, it does. It does add a few points to the overall profile. If your wife has some sort of an education level, like a diploma at least, or a degree, that will add points. And if she has done the IELTS, that will add points to the profile. Yes, it's an asset. So it's good that both people, both the spouses, have the IELTS.
Okay.
So
guys,
also.
Okay, sorry. Please go on, Helen.
Yes, it's an asset to be married when you're doing your PR, because you do get some points extra from the spouse. IELTS and education level. If you have family members here, for example, as well, you will get extra points. If you have any relatives that are Canadian citizens or permanent residents, you will get extra points on your profile for that also.
Okay. Let's move on to the other questions, if they are so much needed. Somebody's asking a question, but I think it's not clear. Visa refusals based on basis of immigration status. I think the person wants to ask, what are the basis of visa refusals in applications?
Yeah, we kind of talked a little bit about that at the beginning. There's usually about 4 reasons. Either they don't believe you're going to go back to your home country if you're coming here on a temporary basis, or your financial is not strong enough, or the academic path you have chosen doesn't make a lot of sense, it doesn't connect to the previous academic path, or your academic strength is not that good from the past. So the academic part has some. It depends on what application. If it's temporary, then those are the reasons usually. So if you're applying for a visitor visa, the most likely reason for the refusal will be that they don't believe you're going to go back to your home country, that you are using the visitor visa to immigrate rather than just to visit. So in cases like that, we have to make sure that the file is done properly. In other words, if you decide you want to come to Canada to visit, it's always good to have either a friend here or a relative to extend an invitation to you. All right. There's always a reason. There should always be a reason for the purpose of the trip, because that's another reason they could use for not approving you, is the purpose of the trip, right? Another reason could be any travel history. If you don't have any travel history in the past, in other words, you haven't proven yourself with any other country that you have complied, that you haven't traveled, let's say, to the USA or to UK or Australia or Spain or whatever, and you can prove that in your passport. Listen, I've had travel history. Look, I've gone to these other various countries and I've complied. I've come back to my home country. So why are you not giving me a visa? So travel history, that also plays a role. Now, in the worst case scenario, if you don't have travel history because you just have never had the need to travel, that doesn't mean that it's going to be used against you, but it would definitely be an asset if you do have. If you don't have travel history and you want to visit Canada, then your letter of explanation will have to be what you lean on to explain yourself. Like, I've never had the opportunity to travel in the past because of obligations, because of family reasons, because of personal financial reasons. Now I'm in a position to do some traveling. You need to write the letter. You need to explain yourself. Okay, Canada is a place that's open to all tourists. So if you can justify your visit and you can convince that visa officer that it's just a temporary visit, that you're going to go back. And I always recommend, this is what I recommend to all of my applicants. If you get the visa to come to visit Canada, then go back, because it'll be a multiple entry visa most likely. and it will be for a few years. So if you comply the first time, then the next time you come in, it's like nothing. You'll be able to come in without a problem, and then go back and then come again. So you're going to develop a relationship with the country, right? And they're going to trust you. So the reasons would be what I just named: financial, not believing you're going to go back to your home country. If you're coming to study here, the academic program has to make sense, and you have to have the finances to pay for your tuition in the first year of living expenses.
Okay, Helen.
Or of
Somebody,
course, it's a different.
sorry. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Somebody was asking about the, let me see. Please, Benji, your question about charges would have to be directed personally to her mails, so that if you meet her personally, either via consultation or whatever, then she can discuss the charges with you. I think you may need to sign a retainer agreement and all that. And for the purposes of this platform, I wouldn't want to entertain discussing charges for the general student platforms. Okay, so
Yes.
Benji, I'm sorry, I'm not going to allow your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Michael. I always find that kind of an.
Excuse me.
What I can tell you, let
Mr.
me
Ramos,
just.
you don't have the floor. Mr. Ramos, I'm
Hello?
sorry, you don't have the floor. Ramos, please hold on. Hello, Ramos.
Can you hear?
Go ahead.
Ramos, hold on, please. You have the chance to ask your questions, and let's ask the others. Is there a significant difference between official wife and a common law partner if she comes
Yeah.
with you?
No,
as a
they're both legal binding relationships. Okay, so common law partner is treated the same as a spouse, no difference whatsoever, as long as you can prove that it's really a common law relationship. Okay, whereas with a marriage, you have the marriage certificate, that's proof enough. Common law is a little bit more tricky. You have to prove that you've been living together for at least 1 year. You have to show, joint lease agreements, joint bank accounts. You have to prove it, but it's treated the same as a spouse.
Okay, thank you. If somebody completes a master's degree in China, is there an opportunity, or is there a possibility that the person could also apply for a master's program in Canada?
Of course, you can. Again, you need to justify, why do you need 2 master's degrees, right? Everything has to make sense. So you have a master's degree, let's say you have an MBA, and you want to come and do a master's in some other related field, in banking and finance, for example, or whatever. Then you have to justify it in your statement of purpose. That's why they give you a chance to explain yourself. And we always look at statements of purpose and we try to fix them up for you as well. We don't leave you on your own there. Like, you'll write your statement of purpose, we'll review it, we'll make suggestions, we'll add something to it. As long as you can justify it, then you should be fine. But what I would recommend in a case like that is, if you have a master's degree and it's, a master's degree, it incorporates a lot of different things, and the curriculum is kind of broad. But if you are specifically interested in one specific area of that master's degree, then you can perhaps look at a postgraduate certificate, which is still at the postgraduate level, but it only focuses on one specific field, like project management or organizational behavior or chain supply management. Maybe you can choose one area that you can do one postgraduate certificate in rather than a whole master's again. That's also a possibility.
All right. This will be a very popular question to majority of the guys and the girls around. Let's explain the common law partner well. If I have a girlfriend, I live with my girlfriend in my apartment for over a year. Does she qualify, or do I qualify to be her common law partner?
Yes, if you're living together, Michael, and you can prove that you have a genuine common law relationship, like, in other words, you can show some utility bills that are on both names, or a lease agreement if you're renting a place that is on both names, or a joint bank account, or photographs of yourselves in the past 1, 2 years, 3 years that you've been together, letters, affidavits from friends and family members that know of your relationship for a number of years. These are all pieces of proof, you know what I mean, that you can put together to prove that the relationship is genuine and it is common law. So you have to prove it. And these are some things that you can use to prove that.
Okay. So what if
If you have purchased anything together, that's another thing you can show that you have you have ownership of something together. If you purchased an engagement ring and you can show the invoice, and there's a lot of different things we can use.
Okay, thank you. So what if the guy lives in China, but the girlfriend or the common law partner, the supposed common law partner, lives in Ghana? For over a year, they've been living apart. What about that?
Yeah. Well, then again, it's a matter of proving that you're still together. Okay. Maybe physically you are no longer living together, but have you lived together in the past for at least 1 year? And is the communication between you continuing? Show us the proof of that. Are you having chat sessions? Are you meeting on Zoom regularly? Are you having phone calls? Are you sending your girlfriend money here, or is she sending anything to you, any gifts? We have to prove that the relationship is continuing. Okay, it's not always easy to prove if that's the case, but there are ways to prove it.
I have a brother, his name is Ben.
If the relationship is genuine, excuse me, and if it is actually continuing, then you can prove it, right? So as long as the honesty is there, then the proof will also be there.
Okay. So just to clarify on that, I have a brother whose name is Ben over here, Ben Kluger Brown. He traveled to China somewhere around 2018. And just about last year or last 2 years, he got a girlfriend in Canada. So there is this proof of video calls and chats between himself and the girl. That does he still qualify as a common law partner?
No, not unless they have actually lived together under the same roof and as almost like a husband and wife situation. But he does qualify as a friend. If he decides to get engaged to the girl, he qualifies as a fiance. In a case like that, the girl here can extend an invitation to him to visit her, providing they can prove that they've had an ongoing relationship. It's called a conjugal relationship, where you can prove that is a relationship, but not quite a common law and not quite a marriage either. So in this case, it would be an extension of an invitation for him to visit her. And it's justified because they've been, kind of together for a while. And the purpose of the visit is also there. As long as he can prove that he's going to go back to his home country, then he's perfectly fine to accept an invitation to come and visit her here. Yeah.
So can you use a family member's bank statement as a proof of funds for your studies in Canada?
Yes, you can use a common law bank statement. What do you mean? A joint account, you mean?
No, I think the person wants to find out if probably he needs to show proof of funds. I think the financial statement to help build points for his or her visa qualification. So he's asking that in case his account, maybe my account, Michael Wilson, does not have the 10,000 Canadian dollars, but I have an uncle or an auntie who has an account that has more than 10,000 Canadian dollars. Can I use that person's account statement to?
And is that aunt or uncle in your home country?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. You can have someone sponsor you, for a visit. I mean, that's not a problem. You can show your own bank statement. You can show the supporting sponsor's bank statement as well. I find that works better if it's something more like a study permit, which is more, more solid, of a longer stay here. I find that works better for that type of application. For a visitor visa, you can use a sponsor, but for me, in my view, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It would make more sense if that sponsor actually lend you or loan you the money and put that money and you say, here you go, Michael, here's an extra $5,000. You can use that for your trip. And then when you come back, you can pay me back or whatever. It makes more sense to do that. But there's not a no answer. You can use the sponsor. Yes, you can. You can show the sponsorship letter. You can show your sponsor's bank statement and your bank statement together. Yeah, that's not an issue. You can do that.
Okay. Mr. Ramos, could you please ask just one? I can only allow one question from you because you've had your chance already. Ramos, please go ahead.
Yeah, so we're gonna let's make it until 9:30 my time.
Okay, good.
If we can have maybe we'll see how things go in the near future for another session. Yeah, go ahead, Ramos.
Yes, Elena, we know that right now what's going on between Ukraine and Russia. Does it affect on Russian people if they want to apply for permanent residence? Does it affect on normal people in this sanction, international sanction?
On Russian people? Russian?
Yes. Yes. One question
I don't think the war. If you want my personal, give you my personal feedback on that. I don't think the Russian people are responsible for this war, right? So, and a lot of them don't agree with it. So I don't think that the government of Canada is going to make them pay the price for this war that has started. So they will be treated equally, just like everybody else. Yeah, there's no problem there, as long as they qualify. No problem there.
Okay, thank you. I got it. Thank you.
Yes, Helen, could you please tell us, apart from Canada, do you also render services to your clients in other countries, to other countries?
Well, I am a Canadian immigration counselor, so I'm actually licensed by the government of Canada to offer Canadian immigration. In other words, I'm free to talk about immigration to Canada. I'm free to share immigration information. I'm free to process anything for Canada. I'm licensed and I am regulated. I am not regulated for any other country for immigration, but I am for study purposes because I do have quite a few partnerships with universities and colleges in other countries, such as the UK, Australia, USA as well, Ireland, Holland, most of the English-speaking European countries. We can help in the study process there. Okay. Immigration, though, is a regulated business, okay? You're dealing with people's personal information, with people's lives, so you have to be a licensed individual to do that. Yeah, so having said that, we like to be on the proper path, in the legal path in whatever we do. You know? But for studies, yes, I can definitely help. Immigration presently just Canada. What we are thinking of doing, though, just to accommodate some of the demand that we have, is to partner with immigration lawyers, perhaps in the US or the UK, immigration individuals that are licensed to do immigration, and we can partner with them in that sense. Then we can go ahead and help. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Harry, please ask your question. Harry, one question, please. Harry. All right. So, Helen, can I use the same bank statements to apply twice if I was refused the first time?
Yes, you can use the same bank account, not the exact same bank statement, because it's going to be kind of outdated. So you have to have a current bank statement. You can use the same account, of course. There's no problem there. It's not about the account itself. It's about the money in the account. So you need to increase it a little bit if necessary. But the same bank account can be used. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right, guys. So
somebody just
a little bit of time.
Maybe let's just take the final one. The final question I'm taking from Duji. Is there any internship program that do not require a student to be in the final year?
Any internship program that does not require? I didn't get the last part of your question.
Yeah, let me explain. Let's say that I am in my final year, maybe final year student in PhD program, and
yes.
I would want to get an internship program in Canada. Is that possible whilst I'm in my final year?
Yes, it is possible. You can. You need to secure a supervisor here at the university that's going to be supervising you for that internship program. It is a little bit of a different process than the regular study process, but the answer to your question is yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I think Harry keeps pushing about Chinooks software. I don't know if you are aware of that.
Sorry.
CHINOOKX software. Are you aware of that?
CHIN?
OOKX.
No, I'm not aware of it. No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
What about it? What type of software is that?
I also don't know. I think Harry would have been the best person to explain, but I think he has issues with his connection.
All right. So I want just to get some feedback. How did you find our session informative today? Were a lot of your questions answered?
Yes, I think most of the questions have been answered. I am sure you had a lot to tell, but you didn't have enough time at your disposal. So probably more than a session would do. So I'm sure the executives would think about that, give us the information when next to host you, because I can see you have a lot to tell.
I'm seeing a lot of here on the side. Oh, that's very nice. Thank you, Ramos. It was nice to meet you as well. I'm glad you found it informative.
It was very informative, definitely. But we still
you know,
probably
let me tell you all something. You know, immigration is such a vast field, and there's always changes and new rules and new policies, new regulations. We're always keeping up. The reason we're licensed is so that we every year, as a licensed individual, have to take so many courses, immigration law courses. I have an immigration degree as well. We have to keep up to date what's going on. What are the policies? What are the legalities? What has changed? What is this? What is that? What is new? What is old? So we're always up to date with everything. So we are always going to bring you the most accurate and updated information that you need to have in order to make your final informative decision, or in order to succeed in the end. Because it's not about just sending documents, it's about having a successful application at the end of the day. And that's what we strive to do for our candidates, whether you're a student or whether you are a PR or whatever the case may be, you know? So just know that we are always up to date with all the information that we share with you. There's always changes of forms, there's always all kinds of stuff. So we have to always keep up to date with everything. So I hope you've all enjoyed this session. There's a lot to cover. There's a lot more in-depth information that I'm sure we'll eventually, hopefully, maybe in the future get into. But I hope that you've gained something and learned something today from me. That would make me very happy.
Okay. Let's see. Do we have Dr. Benjamin Kruger in the house? Dr. Benjamin Kruger. Dr. Ben. Okay. If he's not in the house, could the president of the student union give us a closing remarks?
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Helena. Thank you, CJ. I'm most delighted to be in the shoes of Dr. Benjamin Klugan Brown. He is in a meeting currently. We are very grateful for your time, your knowledge you've given us, your information you've given us. I believe that the membership as a whole in China, in Ghana, will actually contact you, and then we will look forward to have a great partnership with you in terms of students having problems contacting you. We will get to you through Michael to help assist our students as well. We are very, very grateful. We are very, very grateful. Dr. Brown is around, so I'll leave to Dr. Brown. I'll leave to Dr. Brown to come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Can we see your
our
face,
resource
please?
person.
Can we see your
Hello?
Doctor, can we see your face?
Sorry.
All right, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm very grateful to be part of this meeting. Actually, it's very important for people to know information regarding where to go, where to move to their next life. Mostly, sometimes students are confused. Like you started in the beginning, students are confused about where they want to go and where they want to live their life. And so it is important that this information is given. So we thank you very much. The other thing is that this program is organized by NUGS, and very soon the organizers will leave office. And so I will also plead with members to try and then fill in their shoes and to have the opportunity to invite such a wonderful person like you. And I'll encourage all members that when there is time for them to take positions or to take offices to help their fellow students, they should avail themselves, because these are some of the things that we learn. Even when you have this knowledge, when you travel to, let's say, Canada, and it's also adds up to your knowledge and then your capabilities. So I will encourage all students to try and take up the positions that will be available in the next term. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. It was great it was a great time to spend with you this morning, this Sunday morning. So I'm grateful for the invitation, and we'll see further down the road what else we can do together.
Yeah, thank you very much, Helen. Thank you so much. Helen has been my personal friend for I think quite some time now. We've been talking over the phone and over the video, but this time she's been very useful to my colleagues, and I'm most grateful that she honored our invitation. Helena, we are looking forward to hearing from you once again, and I'm looking forward to having more of my colleagues talking to you. This time, not on friendship level, but on business level and on the level of immigration. We are grateful.
Thank you so much I really appreciate you arranging this for all the students. Michael, I really think it was very much needed, and I really appreciate your time on this. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Helen will be my friend very soon.
Okay, it's allowed.
Well, it's beautiful here in Canada. Now we're having summer. So it's going to be 30 Celsius today, very sunny, and everything is very green. It's a fantastic place. I would love to see most of you here one day. That's for sure. All right. So
all right, thank you so much.
Have a good evening, everybody.
And have
a good morning in Canada.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Elena. See you.
Okay, now we can all go. Thank you very much for coming.
Ramos.
You won't go.
Ramos, Ramos, my brother.
Right, please leave China and go to Canada. Please leave China and go to Canada. We don't need you in China anymore.
Hey, Ramos.
For us,
Even